Healed patients are lost customers. I think that is a total bombshell of a statement.
The system isn't designed to heal us. That's the truth. That's the truth. It is designed to keep us dependent. The body knows how to heal, period.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Desiree Caruso, Naturopathic Doctor, and I am interviewing my friend and colleague, Brandi Garden, the co-founder of Aversio Wellness and the author of Healing Your Body, Mind, and Soul. Today, we are diving into Chapter 2, Finding a Pill for Your Ill. Brandi, you start this chapter with a quote from Hippocrates. If someone wishes for good health, one must first ask oneself if he is ready to do away with the reasons for his illness. This quote is so powerful to me, and I think it holds a lot of wisdom. I also think that being sick actually serves us in ways that we might not even realize. What do you think about that, and what does it take to move past that?
Yeah, I do think looking back, I can see that sometimes not only me, but we as a collective unconsciously hold on to illness because it is giving us some kind of identity, or it's giving us sympathy from others or permission to slow down. And I think for me, I do see that I needed permission to slow down. I was in burnout. And when I got that diagnosis, when I had that prescription in my hand, it did give me permission. It gave me this sympathy from people around me. So for me, that was a really tough truth to face. Illness can become a story that we tell ourselves. Right. And it can feel safer to stay there than to step into the unknown of true healing,
Right.
which eventually I did come to. So the moment we recognize that, the moment we ask, what is this illness giving me? And am I willing to release that? That is when transformation begins.
Wow, that is powerful. That is powerful. You also write in Chapter 2 that healed patients are lost customers. I think that is a total bombshell of a statement, and it's a total reframe. Why is that such a heartbreaking truth, and what does it reveal about how our healthcare system really works?
Yeah, I mean, the system isn't designed to heal us. That's the truth. That's the truth. It is designed to keep us dependent.
Yes.
And that's devastating because it means that people we trust with our health are often operating inside a system that profits when we stay sick. And I think that's not always conscious, right? I don't think doctors are bad people. I know doctors did not get into their profession because they just wanted to be millionaires. There was a reason that they got in and a need to help people and want to do that. But I think once you're inside a system, it can become very difficult to see from the outside. And I know even in education, it was the same way. I see things so much differently on the outside of the education system than when I was a teacher inside of that. So, I mean, it's just facts. A healed patient isn't profitable.
Yeah.
That's hard to hear. And that realization, it both broke my heart and it lit a fire in me to start asking better questions about what real healing looked like for myself. And I hope others will do the same.
That's such an important word when you said it's designed to keep us dependent, because I think in previous times, a lot of us talk about the system is designed to keep us sick, and it's not necessarily designed to keep us sick, but dependent. And dependent can mean sick. There's a lot of truth in that, I think, for a lot of people. Moving on, 80% of medical schools do not require nutrition training, even though most of our healthcare costs are food related. This was a big factor in why I chose to become a naturopathic doctor instead of a medical doctor, because we are what we eat. Why do you think this gap still exists, and how might things look different if nutrition was a bigger part of medicine and medical education?
Yeah, well, I mean, simply we'd spend less on disease care and more on true health care if nutrition were prioritized. But the truth is there's no money in teaching patients how to heal themselves with food, right? It's not profitable. So I now believe food is medicine, and that's Hippocrates, right? We've known that. We've always known that. You look back in all of the ancient texts and we see carvings of them holding the mushrooms. That was their food and their medicine. And when doctors aren't trained in that, it keeps
Mhm.
us locked inside this cycle of symptom management instead of root cause healing. Masking the surface symptoms instead of actually getting down to that root cause is something that we can't get past that if we don't start looking at our food as medicine.
Yeah, food as medicine and getting to the root cause. Yeah, totally. I really love how you talk about the difference between pharmaceuticals and what you call harmaceuticals. I think that's genius how you laid that out there, but that might be really hard for a lot of people to come to terms with. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think because, again, most drugs are treating symptoms,
Yeah.
but they also can add new problems. And sometimes those are worse than the original illness, which was my case. I loved the pharmaceutical I took. Like, don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
There's a time and a place. And I definitely felt that pharmaceutical put out the fire of inflammation in me for the first time in so many years of being not well that I was grateful for it. And there are days that I think, why did I ever stop taking it? And then I reminded, oh, because the side effects were so something I couldn't live with. And that's why I call them harmaceuticals, because it's hard to face. We've been raised to believe that medicine is always the answer, when in fact it can sometimes create more suffering than it relieves. And that's why I wrote my book, because I was caught in the accepting of the suffering so that I could have the relief. And now I realize you don't have to choose. You can have the relief without the pharmaceutical, without the harm of the pharmaceutical, if you are willing to do things slowly and naturally and addressing the root cause.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. I really like how you talk about in this chapter pregnancy and your experience with that. And during pregnancy, your symptoms went into complete remission.
Yeah.
And I think that's, a glimpse of the body's innate healing capacity and perhaps a glimpse into what we both believe now with our body's own natural healing properties. What did that experience teach you about what's really possible when we give the body the right conditions?
The body knows how to heal, period. The body knows how to heal. Our job is to create the conditions for it to do that. So when
Uh-huh.
I was pregnant, yes, twice, both pregnancies, my body it's like it reprioritized in such a miraculous way. I asked my doctors, can you bottle this? Like, whatever's happening inside of me, why can't we package it up? The experience really showed me that healing isn't something that we force, it's something that we have to allow.
Mhm.
And if we can give the body rest, nourishment, safety, then it has an incredible capacity to repair itself. And I watched that happen when I allowed those things because the pregnancy became my priority.
Yep, body knows how to heal. We create the conditions. I
Yeah.
love that. You describe the heartbreak of developing skin cancer within the first year of taking Symphony. And when I was reading those words, I could really feel the disappointment and heartbreak that you experienced. You articulated it so well.
Mm.
How did that moment shift your belief in healing?
Well, I mean, that was the moment that I realized that the very thing meant to heal me on paper was also harming me. And it,
Mm.
it shattered my blind trust in pharmaceuticals that I had at the time. It
Uh,
made me start looking inward and asking so many questions. What could I change about my lifestyle? What could I change about my nutrition? What could I change about my mindset? And that heartbreak ended up being the turning point for me. So
mhm.
I'm grateful for that realization.
On the other side of it
Yeah.
and having that gratitude. In this chapter, you really encourage people to look into clinical trial data about the drugs that they're prescribed, but I think so many really avoid that. It's almost like ignorance is bliss. If I
Yep.
don't know, it doesn't exist for me. Why do you think we choose not to look at information that is right there in front of us and for us?
Because it's easier to just trust the prescription
Yeah.
than to face the reality of what the data says,
Yeah.
right? I can't believe how many people don't even know that Google Scholar or PubMed exist out there for free with so much important, incredible data. And not all of it is perfect, but it's on you to discern what is relevant to you. And looking at clinical trials can be overwhelming. I was
Mhm.
there. We're lucky we have a scientist friend who really taught me a lot about reading research and how to pull out the important factors. But it puts the responsibility back in our hands when we choose to do that. It can feel scary, but still, if we want the true informed consent, we can't look away. And you talk
Mm.
about that. You talk about informed consent all the time, and that was not my experience. We cannot look away from what's right there in front of us.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I mean, and speaking of informed consent, at the end of the chapter, you ask readers to write out their intention for how
Mhm.
they'd like to continue or ideally discontinue their pharmaceuticals as part of an exercise. And you really ask them to think about the plan and the timeline. And timelines and even informed consent are not frequently discussed by doctors, or
Yeah.
at least to the level that they need to be, that full informed consent, that full timeline. What's the plan?
Yeah.
Why is setting that kind of intention around pharmaceuticals or any sort of intervention for your health so powerful, especially when timelines and informed consent are rarely discussed by doctors?
Yeah. Oh, I think an intention puts you back in control. It
Yeah.
puts you back in control of your healing journey, right? It's about saying, this is my body,
Mm,
this is my life, and here's the timeline I choose. And
mm,
then going to your doctor as a partner in that. Doctors rarely talk about discontinuation plans, and mine did not. And I actually,
yeah.
years into taking my pharmaceutical and after many side effects, when I finally asked a rheumatologist, what's the plan? I was told, no, you're going to stay on this drug the rest of your life. And
Wow.
that, like, it was a gift
Yeah.
because her saying it showed me her frame of mind
Yeah.
and that there was no plan for me to come off of it. It was just, and then I realized was a customer.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a great customer. So when you set an intention, you reclaim agency over how long
Yeah.
pharmaceuticals remain part of your story. I'm not saying no pharma. I am a
Yeah.
big believer in more fungi, less pharma, not
Mhm.
none. But you have to set the intention. I need this now,
Mhm.
but I don't need it forever because I have this other plan of how I'm going to work along my journey of transformation. And that's
Yeah.
all it is. It's transforming out of a time when you do need that to
Yeah.
a time when you won't anymore because you're going to let your body lead.
Yes. Yes. All of that. Yes. Overall, Brandy, I think chapter 2 really pulls back the curtain on the promises and the pitfalls of pharmaceuticals in the industry. But in chapter 3, which is breaking up with big pharma, you go even deeper into what happens when you challenge the system itself. Would you say this is where it gets controversial?
Oh yes, this is where the gloves come off, and
Ooh,
it's worth tuning in for the next one.
oof, don't miss it. Chapter 3, breaking up with big pharma, coming up next.